what we do, man. And so today we got my brother, my business coach, my mentor, my dog that invites me, make sure I keep in alignment with everything that's great in life. Asa Laveau. I'm gonna give him a proper introduction, all right? Because Asa has played such an extraordinary role, not just in my life and my development, but in a lot of people that I know that's doing great things. He is the founder of Laveau Foundation. So he has a nonprofit. He is a business coach that helps entrepreneurs, and this is trademark, make their first $10,000 in business. And he is the CEO and founder of Queer Money Gang. Man, this is so funny. One day I was, you know how you have a dream and you kind of going back and forth with your dream, trying to figure out things you want to do. And I'm like, I really need to write this book. And I go on Facebook one day and Asa says, F it, just write the damn book already. And he wasn't speaking directly to me, but I felt triggered. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and do it. And I said, man, you know what? He had this thing he posted where he said, hey, for $100, you can book a coaching session with me. And I said, I'm gonna do this. And this is the first time I did a booking session with him. But from one booking session, I got 4 ideas that allowed me to truly monetize my dream and create 4 streams from one project that I was hesitant on, and it changed my life. So I wanted to bring Asa on for multiple reasons. One, because I respect him. I highly regard him in a lot of things in life. I just watched the Dave Chappelle, which, you know, Dave Chappelle is getting a lot of flack for his opinion, things that go on in life. But Asa is pansexual. He plays a big role in the LGBTQ community, and he is very passionate about being a servant this particular type of space. So we brought him on today to just have a conversation about this, because I know, at least in my upbringing and being religious upbringing and being Black, there's a lot of stigmas that's associated with how we live our lives. So Asa, welcome to Modern Manhood. We thank you for coming to the group. Let's chat. Let's chat.
Well, first off, thank you for that. For those, to Donnell, to Dr. Lehman, to everyone that's watching and or listening, thank you for showing up. Being from Oklahoma, I dare not walk into a room, whether a physical room or a virtual room, without speaking. So I'm going to make sure I speak, make sure everyone, I address everyone, but I do not, again, I do not take this lightly. Thank you so much for the introduction. I have a high level of gratitude for you brothers doing this. Just thank you. Thank you for being willing and open to hearing someone that you're in a community with, but you are also learning another type of community at the same time. I appreciate it. A high level of gratitude for that.
That's Appreciate you.
Greetings. I gotta tell you guys, I'm excited about this conversation too. And saying that, like Asa, saying that is that not like the root of so much of what we all want to feel? Because we all move in these different circles, right? As men, or as a Black man particularly, or as a man of you know, who lives a certain lifestyle, or who enjoys or appreciates or is able to live and thrive in these different spaces. But we all want to feel like we're respected and seen and heard. I mean, if that's not the case, we find ourselves in these situations where being othered is the experience, and that's, nobody wants to feel and see what that looks like. So help us understand in some ways of your experience, your circles, your, you know, what you've seen, how we can bring a lot of that together. Because that the question that you posed to us that we shared, like, are all Black men created equal? I mean, oof. Tell us what that means.
All right. Before I do that, I'm going to say this. This is important, not for you two to know, but for those who are tuning in to know. I'm not here to manufacture negativity. I am not here to manufacture discord among Black men. I am not here to manufacture discord amongst Black people. However, I am here to tell the truth based on my experience and the experience of others that I cherish and hold in my heart space. That's what I'm here to do. With that being said, I posed the question, are all men created equal? That goes back to the African-American experience. The African-American experience being totally void of what the founding fathers were projecting into the founding of this nation. And that cognitive dissonance that was taking place when they were saying, over here, yes, all men are created equal, representation, taxation without representation, all those things, while enslaving a group of people. There's just cognitive dissonance around that. And I feel in 2021, post George Floyd, post the presidency of Barack Obama, that within the Black community, that cognitive dissonance is still present. And I do not, at this point, I'm not quite sure what to do about it. I'm not quite sure what to feel about it. The only thing I know for certain is that it feels like hell. And the reason why it feels so utterly tragic is because when you look in the mirror or you see your brother reflected back at you, you would think, you would consider that that other human would be there for you in a way that sometimes you're not able to be there for yourself.
That's beautiful.
And I would love for that to take place. And that's just not always the case. Now, I definitely have thankfully manufactured and nurtured relationships with quote unquote straight Black men in Oklahoma City, where I'm from, and all over the world that love me, that protect me and love me when I'm not in the room. At the same time, I receive a level of violence and energetic violence that would make our ancestors weep.
Right. Yeah, I had a conversation with Dr. Damon about this. I said, because of the way that we've been programmed to view our social construct, we have dehumanized people below even being human beings because of our lack of compassion, because our lack of understanding, and because our lack of understanding how we should be able to perceive others relational, but most important, because our lack of own self-worth. And I think that the founding fathers have been able to shape society in such a way that a lot of us don't have a cultural identity. It's different from growing up and seeing a Malcolm X or seeing a Barack Obama, like you mentioned, and having an individual that we can idolize that brings more of a compassionate nature or energy to surface, where we can look at other beings and see the beauty of them or see the God in them for that sake, versus the way that we're taught to demean other individuals with self-condemnation and project a sense of discrimination and not even know it. So living out this way where you don't even recognize you're perceiving and having hatred for another being before you even have a conversation with them.
And I appreciate what you said. And we still have people that, yes, you are correct, that don't think about it. And so it's this sometimes in the Black community, among Black men, amongst Black men, there's this not knowing for sure, just because of the way we've been conditioned, for sure. And then there's just an outright violence, like outright Boosie level violence.
Absolutely. Wow.
Like, so I'm very clear. Yes, wow. I'm high in intention. Yes, I'm high on making sure that there is a level of understanding, because you need to understand so that we can then be understood. I'm very aware of that. But then I'm also going to call a thing a thing.
Absolutely.
Just call a thing a thing. There's a Boosie level of violence that has been consistent for millennia.
Absolutely.
Break that down for us.
Amongst queer people. So let me start from the beginning.
Wow.
Let me start from the beginning. We feel that queerness is void of Africanism. We feel based on what, so when we talk about our ancestors, Africans being enslaved, I never call us slaves. We were Africans who were enslaved.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we talk about different things that happened. And one of the things that we talk about within the slave narrative, yes, we talk about, Mandingo fights. That was, you saw that in the movie Django. So the brutality of it. And then there was also something called buck breaking, which I feel that was probably very much a tool of oppression, for sure. And if anyone's just watching, you're not unsure what buck breaking is, that is sexually penetrating a male in a family publicly so that they can now be reduced to a passive role in the community. I'm very aware. So it's a public raping of a man. Totally understand what that means. At the same time, we consider that that Africanism, that to be African was void of anything queer identified prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And so we feel that somehow queerness is synonymous with things that are European in nature. So imagine where you have a white person telling Black people, even though they brought us here, go back where you came from. And then my experience being a queer Black individual, having Black people say, take that back where it came from. So if you have people telling you to go back to a place and then your identity tailing that to go back to a place, where do you feel like you belong?
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Okay, so I understand, like, there's people that don't understand the power of being able to walk in their authenticity. And you come from an upbringing where your mom she's a bishop, right?
My mother is a pastor, and she is also the head chaplain of the largest hospital network in Oklahoma.
Okay, so help me walk through, going from what you're saying. We talk about slavery, we're migrating up to you giving yourself permission to say, hey, this does not fit who I am, and I need permission to be able to not just walk in this, but also serve a culture who may not understand the magnitude and power of what that means to be who you are in today's time.
Can you say
because
that?
you got a queer money gang hoodie on, fam.
I do. Well, branding is real.
but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, because I know people who say this is who I am, but they may not feel that I need to serve this community to help them prosper in this. So I think the role that you play is very different, because you can be perceived as a spokesperson. You're doing, like the conferences, like you're doing very, very broad things that most people don't even think about. So you're not ashamed to spread awareness. And that means that you weren't always like this.
No.
That means, right. So you had to grow even more into that. So talk about that.
Okay. So yes, I grew up Church of God in Christ.
Absolutely.
No, like real Kojic. Like I went to Memphis every November and got checked out of school for a week to go to Memphis to go to Holy Convocation. Like I'm like Kojic. So I was void of queer people. The only queer person I've ever saw on TV was the episode of Hanging with Mr. Cooper where RuPaul made a guest appearance and played Mr. Cooper's cousin from Atlanta.
Wow.
That's the only queer person I ever saw, ever. So I didn't even know. It was like to propose being queer to me in the 80s in Oklahoma was to propose veganism to a West Texas farmer in 1932. Like, wow. That is not happening. So I'm void of the possibility. And so my it's not that I was repressed over time, it's that the possibility had no place to allow itself to make itself aware at all. And so I followed the path. I was a good little church boy. If you meet people who knew me then, no, Asa was a church boy. Like, that's what Asa was. I would literally provide the sinner prayer to you at your locker.
All the way in.
Like when I say I was Koji. So I dated women. I never had the experience of I'm in 6th grade looking at another little boy in 6th grade saying, "Oh my God, I want to hold his hand." Nope, never. Nope. I then, eventually became married, had a baby, who I have a son, my SON and my SUN, and got into the military. And it wasn't based on trying to fulfill something. It's because I got a bill in 2001 at Oklahoma State. And I was like, so I don't do debt like this, $7,000.
I don't do debt.
I'm not gonna pay $7,000. Like, I only have so much plasma to give. It's just so much plasma in my little body. I don't have $7,000 plasma. So I had to do something. So I enlisted. And then what happened? I found myself being divorced, having that experience, and then all the things that somehow I had blinders on about were released. And men started coming to me. And it wasn't that I got turned out or molested or raped or anything like that. They were very respectful, like, "Yo, I think you're attractive. I want to know if we could go out." I was like, "I guess so." I just wasn't thinking that much of it.
Yeah.
I guess. And then things just incrementally progressed from there. And then I was like, okay, this can't happen. I can't be like gay or queer. Like, no, that's not a thing. I fought it for a while. Not to the point that I attempted to pray it away, but I just fought it. Like, this can't be who I am. There's enough going on. Like, I'm dealing with a heartbreak from marrying my high school sweetheart. Like, I don't need this too. Like, I'm cool. Like, I don't want this. And then I thought about my son. My son was around 5 at that time. I'm like, who wants to have a queer Black daddy?
Man.
I know what it was like to be called gay in 2nd grade and then me fighting people about it. So who wants their daddy to be that way?
Right.
I'm like, nah, we're not gonna do this. And so I was thinking about everybody else except me.
Wow.
So to be Black and queer, my thing is you start off provoking self-violence.
Man.
By not allowing who you are to flourish and not accepting all aspects of who you are.
Aspects of you. Yes.
You start off like that.
You know, it's crazy. People may not even view that as shadow work, but that is shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
It is me integrating every aspect of myself, and that in itself is a journey.
I tell everybody, if you're Black and queer, you went through dark night of the soul in multiple categories at multiple times.
Absolutely.
Intersections, right? How important is it that we understand and respect that people as individuals, and even we live in intersections and we talk about it. We talk about the intersection of being Black, but being in what is quote unquote corporate America and needing to speak a different way and present yourself
code switch,
right? We talk about that intersection because it's something that we can identify with, and we don't feel like it takes away from our identities. But when we're talking about a culture that takes away from the humanity of a person because of the way they live, it's hard I'm hearing you say that it's hard to live in that intersection yourself and even to acknowledge those intersections. And we have to be called to be more graceful and be more understanding and compassionate with people, because our discomfort with giving you the pronouns you request, that's nothing compared to what you feel having to navigate that space yourself just to get to the point of saying so.
Dr. Damon, I appreciate that, Dr. Damon, for sure. And now I would like to offer you something called the Oppression Olympics.
Oh, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be accurate that majority of Black people, Black men, Black women, feel as that there is no one on earth who is more disrespected than the Black man or the Black woman in America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone that does or does not feel?
Just with that simple yeah. So a lot of times, Black men and Black women have created identities around struggle. If I can't win at being the richest, if I can't win at being the most regarded, then I'll win at having the most struggle. But then what happens when you meet a group that has more struggle than you? Are you willing to step down from first place? Or are you fighting for your spot?
Right.
In a way that makes complete avoidance and denial of someone else's experience. Because I've had to do diversity and inclusion classes and trainings with educational institutions, and I start with Black women. Black women, you feel this way. Now imagine if someone else could be more oppressed or having an oppressive experience than you. Can you even imagine the possibility? Because we all want to be loved, adored, seen, valued, accepted, heard, accepted, all of those things. We do. But are we willing to look to the left and right of us and find out who else needs that too?
Right, yeah.
Because we talk about things like the March on Washington. Yes, in the Civil Rights Movement, it was a great movement. The three of us would not be in the positions we are in without that movement. Honor to our ancestors for sure. Like Maya Angelou says, I come into the room with 5,000. I get that. I understand that. And then what happens in the Civil Rights Movement, which was started by a gay man named Bayard Rustin, who gets removed from the Civil Rights Movement altogether to keep Martin Luther King's marital affairs a secret. There's a deal that goes down with the FBI and the CIA that says, look, we know what you're up to. Either you fire the fag or we dismantle the movement.
So how do you feel like stigmas like that impact today's age in regards to sexuality?
Nothing has changed.
Because once again, I mean, Queer Money Gang is a movement.
Yeah,
as far as I understand. Yeah, it's a movement, right? And so I think, hold on, no. The like LGBTQ like movement community is really making leeway, even far more leeway than what Dave Chappelle even said. Like even more to the point to where cancel culture is like on 10 right now. So it's imperative if someone, I mean, it looks like it's obviously that if somebody gets offended, there is a lot going on, right? Like, I'm just saying, help me understand.
Like that we already going there with the Dave Chappelle thing.
Let's go.
At the root of that, because I love the way you posed the question about the acceleration of the movement, right? But the acceleration of the movement is coated and saturated in privilege. As Dave Chappelle was doing his best to say to us, because guess what? It ain't Black gay lives that are canceling the baby. It ain't Black queer lives that are canceling Dave Chappelle. Why? Right. We don't have that much fucking power.
Right, that makes sense. Makes total sense.
The people that are being able to cancel him and remove the baby from concerts and contracts and all these things didn't come from us. It doesn't come from us.
Right.
Elton John got the baby canceled.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's crazy. I was thinking it too.
And RuPaul ain't said a goddamn thing about it.
Right.
Why? Because there is an understanding in Black queer world that our mamas, our daddies, our pastors, our frat brothers, our sorority sisters have said more things to hurt us than the baby or Boosie ever could.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And that's a truth that a lot of us aren't willing to hold ourselves as the people who genuinely love you, care about you, but aren't willing to back away from our discomfort enough to see that and be empathetic towards that.
Right. I think this thought kind of shifted from me. I was talking to Dr. Damon. So my daughter has a best friend that's transgender.
Mhm.
Um, she's 16. And when she first came over and I started meeting her, I was referring to her as he.
Mhm.
And it was difficult for me to break the pattern when I saw it. But she one day, and her family comes for a great deal of wealth. And she says to my daughter one day, she says, I could have anything I could ever want. But she was like, if I could trade anything, I would rather have your dad than my dad. She said,
Mm,
because you may not have all the money in the world, but your dad, he loves you. He was like, he accepts me as a daughter. Like I called her my daughter. And it was very touching that she came to me and she said, you know what? Even my daughter said that. She was like, I never thought about it because I complain sometimes about not being able to get certain things that I want because I envy the things they have. But when she came and said that to me, and man, I just hugged her. I hugged her because in that moment I was like, it's not even about your gender. It's about you being able to be accepted for who you are wholly. Like I feel like it was a soul to soul interaction that a lot of times, because of the way that we've upbringing, we've made it easier to condemn a person to the point that they can hate themselves and not see all the beauty they possess. And to me, that was like one of the highest revelations ever, because I was like, you know what? I know what it's like to be a black man, grow up without a father, but I
Mhm.
would never want you, I would never make you want to feel like you're not, don't have a position in this world, and make you feel like you can wake up every day and not be comfortable in your own skin. To
Right.
me, that is the root cause of suffering. And that is sad that even growing up in a religious household, a spiritual household, that we can still be responsible for making the person that is truly beautiful feel like they're not worth anything. It's nuts. It's crazy.
So I'm gonna first off, thank you for that. And thank you for hugging her. So Donnell, and I in this moment, please hear me with your entire body. You just saved someone from suicide. And
Absolutely.
you you that little girl will grow up and have a thought at 3:18 a.m. about herself and then remember the hug that'll cancel out the thought.
Absolutely.
So I don't take that lightly. And I like the fact that you talked about parenting because when we co-created this question, are Black men created equal? From a very at a beginning level of this, we aren't created equal, and we find that out from our
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
mm,
So
mm.
I know that I may ruffle feathers, but I've been ruffling feathers for a long damn time, for decades now. I really don't give a damn about all that. Um, but let me just be very clear. We do have a high level of absenteeism with fatherhood in the Black community.
Mhm.
That's an accurate statement. Yes, we have millions of fathers that are there. I get that. I know the
Mhm.
statistics.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can have both. You can
Right.
have
Right. You
it's really
can.
high over here, and still it's
Right.
a lot of good Black dads. There are both.
Man.
Like seriously, you
Yeah, it
can
is.
like that's called being bi. You can have both. See
Right.
what I did there?
Ba-doom.
Okay, so so with that said, a lot of our self-inflicted pain, a lot of our feelings of being worthless, you know what a lot of that comes from? Our Black mothers.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that in the Black community, it seems like all Black mothers are all Claire Huxtables, and that shit just ain't true.
Mm,
All Black mothers are not Claire Huxtables.
right.
there is a level of pain. Let's just talk about just without sexuality in it.
Yeah.
In the Black community, we have not even discussed how there are so many damaged and broken men that have been nursed at the bosom of emotionally retarded women.
I agree.
We have been nursed at women who have had high levels of trauma that have not had the resources nor tools to process that trauma, and they have fed that into their sons.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's a reality, and we have not talked about that. So we talked about all men are created equal. We aren't even raised equal. A lot of us are not even raised equal. And I can say all these things because I've been able to reconcile my childhood with my mother. So I'm not spilling any tea.
And that's beautiful.
At all.
That's to me, that's beautiful.
But I say the spilling tea part because I was 20 before I got a hug from my mama.
Mm-hmm.
I was 20.
God.
Why did I get the hug? Because I was getting on the bus to go to Afghanistan in 2003.
Wow.
I can pinpoint the day I got my hug.
Yeah.
And so that shapes us.
Yeah.
Seriously. And let me say something else. Now, I'm going to add the sexuality back into it. A lot of our feelings of being worthless come from our mothers.
Yeah.
Because the pride of Black women are their Black sons a lot of times. They are raising the men that could not leave. They are raising the men that they wish stayed. And so because of that, if your dream that you have been nurturing for 20 plus years becomes shattered because of your expectation, which I feel is the root of all suffering.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that? And I feel like that's also a conversation within all of us, being able to go there. Because a lot of times, like Boosie, the only reason why Boosie or the baby or anybody, I'm not gonna throw Dave Chappelle because Dave Chappelle is fly. He fly. So
Dave Chappelle killed it. It was amazing.
He murked that shit.
For real.
So, like
By far,
so like I will literally, I don't do this often, but like he literally, like he gets one of those.
We're gonna come back to that. We got to talk about that, and I want you to finish this thought because like I'm hanging on.
Yeah.
So how you bring this together. We got to talk about what that is, and that this is your reaction to that when we're seeing such a like the dichotomy of how people are on one end of the spectrum with Dave Chappelle right now, and you literally living in that intersection.
Right.
I can't wait for you to help us understand what that is. But finish the statement because you're
yes.
in
So
something right now.
For the baby and everything else, it's because women allow that. So let me be very clear. Straight men don't do anything unless straight women allow it. Because that hinders your progress in the bedroom.
Okay.
Or your roadmap into the bedroom. So if whatever Black women allow, Black men get to do.
Facts.
Like it wasn't Bill Cosby didn't really become canceled until Black women started doing it. R. Kelly, even though we know that in our culture there's still
absolutely
a pretty good divide about the numbers about his support.
Yeah.
Until Black women really started like, wait a minute, I don't think that was right. That's when things started happening. Black women are that powerful. I acknowledge that. Black women are that powerful. Whatever they allow gets done or not done. So that's that part. Now, as far as Dave Chappelle goes, in my Black queer body, first off, Black queer people around me were telling me, Asa, I'm not watching it. I'm not gonna watch it. It's becoming too political. I mean, if it's that much, I already have enough trauma. Why do I want to go get some trauma on top of the trauma I already got? Like, why would I do that? And I was like, well, you know, I do live in this world, and I do want to be an active participant in the community. So I'm going to get my empathic heart, my empathic body, set intention for it. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I sit there, not with a intention of canceling Dave Chappelle, but with an idea that, okay, just protect yourself. You've heard a lot of things in your life about yourself.
Right.
And you don't know Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle doesn't know you. So regardless of that, you still got to pay rent. So at the end of the day, that's what that is. So I'm watching it. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. Okay, understand that. Okay, yeah, that was true. Yeah, understood. Okay, yeah, I get that. By the end of it, I'm still waiting for the thing that's not true. And the fact is, you can't tell me as a 38-year-old queer Black man living in Oklahoma that there is a divide in the queer community from white queer people and Black queer people, or what I like to call Afro queer. There is a differentiation. I am not regarded well in queer spaces in places like Oklahoma. I am not. Not. I have the only places in the world that I have been hyperly regarded was when I went to Europe. Queer places in Europe adore me.
You don't think people adore you here? Maybe that's just the onset of how I see it, because
but Donnell, have you ever went to a gay club with me?
No, I haven't. That's what I was about to say. So you're highly regarded as a businessman. And let me tell you, Dr. Damon, so I was completely surprised, and I was like, damn, Asa is like the perfect mix of business and ratchet.
Yeah.
He would tell you how to make $1 million by playing Nuck If You Buck, fam. Like, and it was thrilling to me. I was like, wow. And then I sat with Asa. I'm like, oh, he's in the military. He has a son that he adores. He has passion to truly see people evolve beyond the nature of the things that hold them back. I was like, Asa is beautiful, right? I was actually defending Asa with one of my homeboys because he said, hey, I heard you say Asa was beautiful, and he laughed and chuckled. I was like, yeah, I think he is. Just keeping it a buck, because it's not a lot of people that you see like that. You know what I'm saying? Most people have a hidden motive, or most people would project their own insecurities, but I didn't see that with Asa. But I also got to keep in mind that my frame of reference is totally different, because there are other spaces that Asa is in that he's going into that a lot of people, of our culture don't go into. So I appreciate you sharing it.
Donnell, you spoke specifically to two things that you and I talk about all the time, and that is, one, values, right? You have looked at a person in Asa and saw common values, saw common places where you could relate to, to that pride in fatherhood, in that business acumen, and that passion that Asa has in these different spaces, and allowed yourself to see that beyond what a lot of people do. And let's face it, a lot of Black men don't allow themselves to see those values in other people, because they're already apprehensive and pushing away from an intersection that they're not even a part of, and miss out on that opportunity. Like good intersections, point. That second thing, that intersections of life, business, fatherhood, just general manhood, and really a passion for life. Those are all different intersections that you and Asa share. And I'm going to tell you right now, I share it as well. And that's why we can sit here and have this conversation. But as long as we keep deciding as people and as men, and then as Black men, to say none of that matters because you stand in this space, in this intersection of what sexuality means for you, then all of a sudden we disregard the rest of that. Like, thank you for saying that, because that's the space we need to be in, and to continue to uplift and to continue to open the playing field for people to live together.
Absolutely. So I got a question for Asa. So my daughter goes to school, right? And the teacher says, how would you like to be called? Would you rather be male or female or non-binary? So my daughter says, I was gonna put female, and she said, but I seen students in the class that were putting non-binary. I didn't want to be offensive to them, so I put non-binary. She came home and told me about it. I was like, why? You do your hair, you do your makeup, clearly this. And she said, well, I didn't want to put that because I didn't want to be subjected to how expectations perceive me. So my wife, I was like, well, it don't make sense because it seems like a lot of pressure. Like when I was a kid, you just had two boxes, cool, you done. It's easy. But she says it's not that easy because if I check this, then I got to be this way on society says. And I'm like, but who cares? Right. And Liz, my wife, she's like, well, babe, that means if I check this box, I can't be a mechanic. I love to fix cars. Right. And I'm like, but still, that's what you love to do. Who cares? Go do what you want. But she's like, society says that's not okay. So I'm like, dang, is expectations really that big? Then it dawned on me. I was like, is this non-binary thing like the next evolutionary stage of consciousness where we truly rid labels of it? Or is non-binary just another label that has expectations associated with it? Or does society truly have that much influence over our lives to dictate how we should live based on a gender specification or classification? Help me understand this binary and non-binary thing, if you could.
I can. Thank you for being open to just the conversation.
Listen, I'm trying to get everything I can out of you while I got you, all right?
Right.
Even from my
really
daughter, because I'm like, baby, help me, help me.
All right. And the short answer is it's all of them. It's everything you said. It's all of it. So, but it's all of it depending on your mental fortitude. It's all of it based on your personal experience. So where one person is saying, you know what, I'm going to choose being non-binary because as India Moore, who played on the show Pose, her quote that I heard them say was binaries cause violence.
Mm.
So when you think about the reason why people have gone to wars, the violence associated with our individual experiences growing up and about the expectation of your binary. And when you do something against your binary, how violent things become for you. So that's what they meant when they said binaries create violence. So there is truth to that. At the other side of that, there are people who want to be so woke that they aren't willing to go ahead and do a great intense self-evaluation, and they just do the thing that other people are doing, whether it be liberal or not. There are followers on every side of the human experience, and sometimes that is the case. And then sometimes, as far as myself, so the reason why my pronouns are he, him, they, them, and God. Those are my pronouns. He, him, I identify with being male. I like the male experience. I do. I really, really do. I like it. However, I reframe manhood and masculinity daily. Exhibit A.
Okay.
So I do. I reframe it every day. I push limits to it all the time because I want to like, what is masculine today? What is manhood today? And then I do something because I'm not, because I define that. You don't get to define that for me. So just because I'm not willing to go with your definition doesn't mean that I'm not with that train of thought. The reason why I use they, them is because it's just not that deep to me. Like, you want to call me they, them? Okay. Like, it's also about being so identified with an aspect of your identity that you can have testicular pissosity about how someone refers to you, that you're willing to begin violence against that human.
Man.
We're really gonna do that? You are so identified with the image of you.
Yeah.
That's how I went through Dark Night of the Soul, to shatter the self-image and recreate another one. I understand why I went through Dark Night of the Soul. I get that. So I'm just not that identified with someone else's expectation of what I should be or who I should be. And the reason why I choose the pronoun God, because I am.
Absolutely.
We are all that. And it's not in a way of how Kanye West gets communicated. I feel like the way when Kanye says it, it's taken out of context. But I feel like the way that I say it, the way Donnell says, Dr. Damon, I'm not sure how you say it, but I feel like it's the same way as Kanye says it. We understand that we have God complexes, but
absolutely,
not in a way that says I am and you're not.
Right.
No, I'm telling you that my pronouns are God so that you can finally see the God in you.
Absolutely.
So this is, I'm desiring this to be an affirmative reflection for you.
I like it.
Because if I am, oh yeah, you definitely are. Like you so are. Like when I've said often, and I'm sure other people have also said this, what is a prayer? A prayer is nothing more than a little part of God making a request of the big part of God.
That's it.
That's all a prayer is. And understanding your divinity, understanding that you really are divine. We are living, because what is the divine? What is God? What is source? It is an energy that creates. And if all three of us and all the masses that are watching us now and in the future look around us right now in this moment, from the chapstick to the fan, to the phone, to the water bottle, to all these things, once I am literally living inside of people's worlds, all this shit didn't exist once upon a time.
Absolutely.
Literally, it didn't exist. But somebody's like, you know what? I'm going to play God. And I'm going to create a world. And we are living in these combined worlds of all the gods that have ever lived and are living now.
And creating ourselves.
This is.
Yep. And still being co-creators. Right? Absolutely.
Exactly. So that's what we are. Creativity is the highest level of prayer. It's the highest level of worship. It's the highest level of identification to you being divine. And that's why I don't believe in the term being realistic, because once upon a time, all this shit wasn't real.
Right. Yeah.
Like, just create it. Like, make it up. So
what about SMART goals?
You said, what about SMART goals?
Yeah. You know, the R in SMART goals is realistic. You're a business coach.
Man. we're gonna do SMART goals.
I'm a business coach that does. So there are things as a business coach that I just do not align myself with. And SMART goals are one of them. Also, waking up to the ass crack of dawn just because Jeff Bezos does it. I don't care. That's not my ministry. That's not my ministry. 5 o'clock in the morning is not my ministry. My ministry is waking up around 9:30, 10, but going until 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Because around 11, I get real nice. Like I get real nice around 11. Like
it just comes together, right? Like it's just I got you. I'm the same way where if that's when like the creative starts to really just blossom. And I'm like, let me write this down right now. This needs to let me get on this flyer. This needs to look like this. That's exactly and finding those spaces where like that's human. That's human. And if we don't give ourselves to explore that, man, because I
am a 4 a.m.
But Dr. Damon and Donnell, the fact that Donnell, you are a early riser, and Dr. Damon, you are somebody that is able to create at the ass crack of night. and being able to not judge each other or make each other wrong when you
Absolutely.
understand who you be and how you're showing up in the world. That's your most true for yourself. So
Yeah.
can you imagine a whole group of people making you feel wrong just because you work at a better time of day? Like, how absurd is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it's like to be Black and queer.
Yeah.
Like, you
I,
want to hate me for that?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
egotistical is what it is. And it's a poor form of human interaction and living. It really is. So
Yeah.
thank you for clearing it up.
Mhm.
That's why I asked my daughter, I said, I think you might be onto something, baby. You might be onto something because it seems like the next level of evolved. And some people may disagree, but I feel like it is basically something that allows you to be the most authentic being and your most authentic self and your most authentic expression.
May I offer 3 things? And
Yes.
I will be mindful of time as I do this. Number 1, because you brought up a trans person.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that are watching, because I don't feel like I have to tell this to Dr. Damon or Donnell, I feel like I need to say this for the consumption of our time together. If you are really like, hey, I just don't understand the whole trans thing. Just in a nutshell, if you identify as a man or woman, can you just imagine? We're going to play make-believe right now, people. We're going to
Okay.
play make-believe. So can you just imagine like you have a whole Freaky Friday situation and you wake up the other gender? And not only do you wake up the other gender, you never wake up going back.
Mm.
No, literally, you never wake up going back. Like you're just in that gender now. Like you waited, because if you identify as a man, like, nah, I like being a dude, and you wake up with breast
Bruh.
and a vulva and ovaries and a cycle, you're like, hold up.
Sheesh.
I'm like, hold on, wait. This ain't me. Like, wait, we got to get back to, this is not me. I don't know what y'all thinking, but this ain't me. No, I'm not confused about that. I'm not crazy that I think. No, I know for sure this ain't me. This is not me. It's the same way some of us that grew up in poverty knew that. So poverty ain't me. I don't know
Right.
why I got born
Yeah.
into this, but
Right.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Right.
Like, I feel like Deborah Cott, like, I'm not supposed to, like, someone's not supposed to be here. Like, no. There's a stranger in my home called poverty. Poverty's not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
That's trans.
That's a
You
great
feel
analogy.
locked. You feel literally locked in the way that you're being seen. And you need to change that, like, ASAP. Like,
Yeah.
by any means necessary, I need to show you who I actually am.
Right.
So that's trans, okay?
Powerful.
Number 2, when we talk about, I like to talk about the stream of consciousness and non-binary possibly being a way of our societal evolution. A lot of times in the transformational or even motivational aspects of our, when you go to a seminar and talking to a speaker, a lot of times you may find yourself going through an exercise and they will ask you this question: who were you before you were born?
Mm-hmm.
So if we talk about that, who we were before we were born, we weren't assigned a particular chromosome yet.
Right. Pure consciousness.
You are pure, unadulterated consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And your pure, unadulterated consciousness did not have a penis.
Right.
It
Sex
did.
and gender is 2 different things. People got to understand masculine and feminine energy is not subjected, is only subjected. Your physical form is the physical representation of energy carnated in the body. Before that, you're just energy, the same primal energy that makes up all of existence. Sorry, Asa, go ahead, keep going.
No, you're not. Thank you, because that's what I feel. And so I say that to say that's why another reason I use the whole they them now as another opportunity, because it reminds me that I don't have to be arrested to your expectations.
Yes.
I just don't. I don't have to be arrested to that. And then the third thing, I'm dating someone now.
Let's go.
We're not exclusive. So
Okay.
that's why you haven't seen any pictures on social media yet. But I'm working on it. I'm
You be
working
mad
on
booed
it.
up, fam. You be booed up.
I mean, it's cuffing season, so
and lunch dates and
Donnell has met them at the comedy show recently, but
hold on. Them like them?
Like the person you met, the person I introduced you to.
Oh, okay. He's
slow
fly.
down. Them as in person.
Right.
Fly. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, I was like, okay, Ace, I see you. You know what I'm saying?
And I will talk about that too. So I say that to say they are non-binary.
Oh, legit.
So they do not do the he, him, she, her, even though if you looked at them, you're like, oh, that's a dude who's very feminine.
Right.
But they're like, no, you don't get to put me in any box. I'm them to you. And so I literally have not rudely, but very softly and gently corrected people when they say like, they'll look at them and then they'll look at me like, oh my God, he's so cute. And I say like, oh no, it's them. And then like, what? I'm like, oh, they go by them. That's all. I try to make it very, it's whatever. At the same time, I sometimes mess up in front of them. And I don't always say the things that support them, but I'm very quick about changing it because they understand it really is about intention. But then they did something to me. They said something to me 2 weeks ago. And they said, I just want to let you know, I really see you trying. And just so you know, when I first started referring to myself as they, them, I messed up for 2 months.
Yeah.
I said, wait, you misgendered yourself for 2 months after you made the conscious decision? And they're like, yeah. I said, no one ever says that. No one ever talks about how you can misgender yourself and you have to give yourself grace because it just feels like it's so violent when someone does it by accident.
Right.
So you need to talk about that. And that's why I brought that up. But then on top of that, what it's like to go to a Black straight space in a same-sex possibility. That was the first time I've done that in ever. I've never put my arm. I've never dared to show compassion to the person that makes me smile in a room of Black straight people. That was my act of civil disobedience Monday night.
Interesting.
Because though I understand it's available for me, though I understand it's not civil disobedience in the way of Gandhi or the way Martin Luther King, I understand that. So I didn't do a sit-in.
Right.
I'm very clear about that. But I had never dared to dream that I could be in a Black straight space and show affection to my person in that moment and not be kicked out or not be manhandled. Because I think, Donnell, you may remember, or you might remember in the next couple of days when you're thinking about it, I was projecting another level of myself that night.
Yeah.
I was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was ready. Like I was ready. Like, nug if you buck if you want to.
Yeah.
I was real strong that night. Because I had to prepare for what could happen.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. I got you.
That's not my normal. My normal is a very loving, cheerful, smiling.
Release. Yeah.
But I had to prepare, y'all. I had to really prepare because I understand that, we in the Black community, we just don't accept that a lot of times the same way. It's the same way as, when white people come to Black churches, you like, what they here doing?
Facts. It's true.
Like we know that when a white person, especially when somebody from the church brings a white partner, you like, oh baby, really? Oh,
Yeah.
really? That's what we doing? That's what we doing. It's the same thing. It's the exact same.
Yes, dope. I appreciate you sharing that. This was like crazy, enlightening.
I wanna tap on one more thing that I think is we really need to speak on. And this is something that that is an intersection for us as Black fathers, right? How do we walk away from this conversation with this insight, with this understanding, with really seeing so much of your experience and experiences that are shared with people in the LGBTQ plus community that you've shared with us? How do we take that? We take that and empower ourselves and really show up for our children and our families as Black fathers right now in a space where we have to admit how much responsibility we have to our children. You know, you talked about these experiences that you went through, Asa, and that struggle with your family, and then we see, you know, Donnell's experience. And I'm gonna tell you, I had a conversation. I was hanging out with an old a frat brother from way back from Langston last night, and he talks about his you know, his 6-year-old kid struggling with how he is having a conversation about his friend who is non-binary. Yes, at 6, and he's trying to help his dad understand, you know, what non-binary is. And we had this conversation last night. And so what I'm hearing from and what I'm seeing on as a person who's not in that community, he's sharing with me that like I'm really struggling with that. I was like my 6-year-old is telling me, Dad, like no, you gotta call them this. And he's like, I'm honestly, like, I'm struggling because I don't understand it. And so you broke down what binary and non-binary is. You helped us break down what trans is. And those are conversations I was having. And I hope to God I did justice. And I'm going to say, hearing this conversation, I feel good about it. That, but how do we take that and we show up for our community and for our families in a way that these conversations are happening more and more? Like, you live in that intersection, man. Bring us to the table.
I'm grateful you do too. I really am. I really am. I had no idea just how encouraging it can be, how loving and how much healing that can come from this. You know, I really do. So just want to say that.
So thank you for that. And Dr. Damon, to answer your question, our children aren't here for us.
Yeah.
Somehow we have thought, we have considered that because we played a part in their molecular structure,
right, conception,
somehow they are meant to appease us and our expectations of them.
Oh, Asa.
Yes.
When did that become a reality? That's something we made up. That's called make believe. No one is here. Like, you didn't create a toy. You did not help conceive a toy. There's a whole human there who is having a human experience that you don't get to say what that is.
Right.
And then we add things like selfishness and project that idea to our children. But what are we really saying? We're saying you are selfish because you won't allow yourself to change to appease how I feel you should be.
Absolutely.
So because you won't change to do what I want you to do, you are now selfish. That's gaslighty as hell. That's so gaslighty.
It really is. It's because it's holding you responsible for the way I feel and me controlling and manipulating, so my emotions can be accepted based on the idea of how I feel like you should match my expectations.
And it's a level of being a total coward. I'm going to go first.
Talk about that. That's social. The way you are perceived, the way you look as my child, impacts who I feel I am. And I will not let you break that. We take that to our children, and we have got to let that go.
And that's exactly what I meant when I say we are cowards when we do that, because we're so concerned with what everybody is feeling or thinking about us that we then cause violence in our children. Because we won't stand up to a community. So now we'll be cowards to our children.
Say that again. Say that again.
That's a hard truth.
We will not show compassion to our children. So we will rather be cowards to our community. That's a real thing. Like, what is that about? Like, you feel so you create all your values from someone else's idea of you.
Yeah.
Like that's all this is. Like, if they don't say yes to you, then you're nothing. It means that much to just, that's slavery.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have to we have to be able to look at people that we say we love and we care about and we want to see flourish, and give them the space to do that without needing to meet our need for comfort or feeling vindicated in the society that we choose to live in.
We got to be able to detach from that sense of dominion over another being as if we own that other person. I had this conversation with my baby one day. She says, "You're so hard on me because you don't want me to fall for some of the mistakes you made, when you don't realize I don't have a desire to make the mistakes you made." And I said, "Baby, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because I grew up like this, I expect so much more on you. But I said, I would not expect it of you if I did not see it in myself. So I said, don't confuse the two. You may be right, but I can't do your journey. You're your own independent individual. My goal is to equip you for you to live out whatever expression that looks like." But she was absolutely right. We do that. We expect more for our kids, and we don't recognize our expectations can be a hindrance in their development and whatever that looks like.
So listen, and Donnell, there's a question, Asa, that I want you to help us answer. And so he's watching us live, and he's asking, so as a new father, what should I do with my expectations for my daughter?
Expectations is the root of all suffering. I'm gonna say that again. Expectations are the root of all suffering. The moment you put an expectation on a person, meaning you have an idea that you will now like to project on that human, and when they go against what you expected of them, now you feel hurt. But they never bought into your expectation. That wasn't clear communication. There was no communication at all. There was no clarity given. You made that shit up.
Right.
So the first thing is to get clarity around what the other person desires. And guess what? The moment they're born, they are a person. So it doesn't matter if you're not paying a light bill. It doesn't matter that you haven't moved out the house. You're still a human. Because if you don't allow them to share the human experiences until they're out the house or until they're paying their own bills, you will then lose them for the remainder of their lives, because now they have no point of reference for a relationship with you that looks reciprocal or understanding. So that's the first thing. Your expectation of that little person, really, right now, what's that based on?
Right.
Because if they're going to hurt you day in and day out based on your expectation of them.
Yes.
So please.
Yes, that goes for everybody.
It does. We got to leave room for people to be human.
Yeah.
Have grace, have mercy, and start looking at it like it's a journey. Your journey is going to be different from my journey, but that don't mean I could treat you differently. That means that even though you may be younger, there's always things I can grab from you. We are in each other's life and we chose each other for the development of our soul's evolution. What does that look like?
Mhm.
That stems beyond an expectation, because the expectation is a box that society defined for you. So now we live our whole lives with somebody else's ideas when that person don't get to live out our life. So why should we live as somebody else? And why should I do that? Why should my kid live like somebody else?
And it's not just
Right?
your kid, it's also your wife, your
Yeah.
girlfriend, your boyfriend, your coworker, your boss. Because we give expectations to every relationship. My uncle, I had this conversation in my family. So please understand, these words I'm saying aren't just for Zoom, aren't just for Facebook Lives, aren't just for YouTube. I have these conversations in real life. And so we're in a family setting. And I'd say to my uncle, I don't expect, we're talking about being more family oriented. And so my large family is present. And I say, well, I don't expect anything from you. And they're like, he like, nephew, that's bullshit, nephew. Like, how you gonna say that? You supposed to expect from me. I'm your uncle. I said, no, 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 no. This is what's true. You are my mother's brother. That's the only thing that's accurate about this relationship. Everything that comes after that is based on a soul tie that we are willing to nurture and develop. And that comes with understanding your capacity. Do you have the capacity to come to my book signings? Do you have the capacity to help me with rent when I'm low? Do you have the capacity for me to cry on your shoulder when I go through a breakup? Do you have the capacity to answer the phone when I call because I just want to talk, because I want to be around family in an energetic way? I have to be very specific about your capacity rather than my expectation of what this particular blood tie. So I don't want to confuse the blood tie and the soul tie, because the blood tie says uncle, the soul tie says stranger.
Wow.
So I don't want to ever confuse the two.
That's powerful.
I think that speaks to kind of the philosophy that I share when it comes to expectations. Expectations are they're so damaging and they're one-sided, and that's not to to denigrate anybody who has expectations. What I share and what I say is, here is my ask. I don't have an expectation of you, person in my life, but here's my ask, because I want to give you the opportunity to show up for me in a way that shows me that you see me and you hear me. So I'm not expecting you to show up for me in a way that I always get a phone call on Fridays, or else that means you don't. No, I'm asking you to check in on me when you think about me.
Right.
And I can, and if you aren't checking in with me, and that means you're not thinking about me, you're not, then that's a you thing, and that's okay. Because I can live with that instead of living with the weight of an expectation that we never meet. We never meet. So this is my answer to that question. What do I do with my expectations? Learn to present what your ask is to people in your life and give them the space to either meet that or figure out what relationship it is between you that needs to be, that allows you all to share life the way you want to. Because in the end, if you ask somebody for a burger and they ain't got no burgers, do you carry a hatred towards that person? No. But if you expect them to have a burger and they don't,
absolutely,
now you're in trouble.
And so Dr. Damon, thank you for that. And I've had to do that. I've had to do an ask recently. So again, going back to relationships, the person that I'm dating non-exclusively at the moment, just in case they see it. The thing about it is, just because I'm spending time with you doesn't mean I have permission to pursue you. So I literally asked them one day, do I have permission to pursue you? Because sometimes we feel that just because they're single, it means they're available.
That's good.
And we also do the same thing with every other relationship in our experience. We don't ask, we don't say what we need. And I've had to say that to my mother. I'm saying, so here's the thing. You right now, you're expecting that I'm supposed to respect you. Okay. Now, we're talking about Black mamas, right? Okay. So I'm supposed to respect you. So the way I can respect you while protecting my energy, my ask is that we not speak for a week.
Wow. Powerful.
I desire that. I need to not speak to you for a week. And so she really didn't get it at first because she hit me up again. I said, so here's the thing. So I actually answered. I said, so here's the thing. Remember when I said I don't want to talk? And I was real clear about that. I'm 38 years old. I'm 38. I know that I do not, in this moment, have the capacity to talk.
In a respectful manner.
In a respectful way, because I'd rather not talk than prostrate my body over your casket because I have a memory that I disrespected you.
Right.
I'd much rather do that. So yes, all of this can be done with any relationship. And also, if you have a queer identified person, going back to our topic, you have a queer identified person in your life, you get to ask the expectation as a quote unquote straight person. So you get to say, I have a ask of you. Can you, some people have asked me these things, literally, can you not kiss your partner in front of me? Because I'm uncomfortable. I've like all these things, yeah, that has been said. So well, where I say thank you to them about giving me an ask and rather than not having an expectation, my response is hell no. Or as Sophia put it, hell no. Like, no, I'm not willing to do that because I now choose to go where I'm celebrated and not only tolerated.
Absolutely.
Because as Black people, I think that we forget that we have an entire experience from our white siblings in this country that hasn't been 100% positive, and we sometimes do what they have done to us to each other. So the same way that white people have had a history of saying things like, you're colored. In 2021, people are still saying, oh, that colored guy.
Yeah.
And then we get pissed off about it. But then when you refer to the community that I'm involved in, and you say things like, you know, them alphabet people, them elemental P people.
Yeah.
Like, we pretty much told you what we want to be called. It's in papers and magazines and YouTube videos and Facebook Lives, but you won't allow me to be called what I want to be called, but you want to be called what you want to be called. It's like you're only thinking about the level of respect that you deserve, but no one else's.
Yeah.
That's just not fair.
We need more empathy.
Definitely. A lot more empathy.
That's the right, more empathy. That'll wrap up everything we've said.
I'm about to say,
I want to finish this with a comment. And we have another brother who's watching us live, and he expressed very specifically that he doesn't think expectations are bad and that they're necessary. And his, you know, the way he shared that is that if you buy a car, you expect it to work in a certain way. And hearing that as the example, that's kind of exactly what we're saying, is having expectations on people who are fluid, who have control over their lives and who change and grow and shift and have different needs. Having an expectation of them is not the same as having an expectation of a car that was built a certain way to do a certain thing. And so I don't know.
I would even be conscious of that, because there's a difference between the expectation and the desire. So now when my car breaks down, it shouldn't break down, but it's a machine. It's going to break down. You should not have an expectation. You should be mindful of things that you attach yourself to. Why? Because there's a limitation in that. You don't want to place any limitations. Now, do we have a desire for things to work out the way that they do? Yes. It's just like if I'm in a marriage and I'm like, well, because I'm married, I expect my wife to give it up anytime I desire it. No. Even though it would be healthy and to have reciprocal relationship that's in alignment, it would be a beautiful thing. Yes. But if it doesn't work out that way, does it take away from me? That's the answer. Because when it doesn't work out for you how you feel like it, now your feelings are hurt. So you got to be mindful of that. You can't attach too much of who you are. And that's the reason why we got so much war in our world. There are people that literally say, because of this belief, I feel like it's a righteous indignation. I have the pride to go out and attack and destroy and enforce and control. Bro, that's the reason why we got so many problems. But if you allow nature to just operate in the way that it's supposed to and go with the flow, you will find there's so much more ease will happen in your life and less suffering. Just show up. And the beingness. We're missing the beingness. That is the problem. So that's my rant. I'm done.
Listen,
I'm just saying. I bought who hasn't bought a new car today? Breakdown. You like, I expected it right. Then you go get mad at the mechanic, and the mechanic's like, bro, I'm just doing my job. Then he's like, oh, there was a recall. So now we blame the manufacturer. The manufacturer just had to produce more cars because of the way the economy was. So now we blame the economy. You'll find yourself blaming everybody. Bro, that's when you relinquish your authority because you have become a victim to your expectations. That's not freedom. And you can have a different opinion though. That's just the way I believe.
It's not a different opinion. It's a compounding. So why are you so angry that the car broke down? That's a question.
That's a great question.
And my response to that is, I first learned this from Erykah Badu. I know I could have read this in a book, but I didn't. We all operate from two energies, an energy of love or an energy of fear. And a lot of times when we are having an expectation, i.e. a car breaking down, we have a fear of being seen as though we're not enough. And so when our car breaks down at our workplace, and we have an ego attached to us at our workplace, and now somehow our image is shattered in our minds because we have a fear of not being enough. Because remember being 8 years old and being called, little boy, you ain't shit, when you were 8, standing in line to get your graham crackers, and now you 52, still having this unexamined possibility of feeling worthy. And so now everything is attached to you being in fear about not looking, and seeing, being worthy. So it's compounded. And so yes, we could be having an expectation conversation, or are we having a self-worth conversation and a self-worth
There we go.
conversation?
Yes.
And that's also when it comes to a white sibling not projecting love to Dr. Damon and Donnell. That could look like a same conversation when I go to a place in Oklahoma City with a lot of straight Black people, and they look at me some type of way when my arm is around the person that I'm interested in. It's about what is being projected in a fear way onto someone else. So my thing is, as you operate in this day and every day thereafter, you get to ask yourself, am I operating in fear or am I operating in love? And so when I'm getting angry about my child having non-binary friends, maybe it's because I don't want to be seen as being gay, because I remember how this one little boy was called gay and they beat him up in the bathroom and he had to be hospitalized as an elementary student. And I remember being like that, and I remember I had to protect myself. So to protect myself, I had to do gay bashing so that my fear wouldn't be manifested. And so that's now become a habit. And a habit is nothing but a belief, and a belief is just an idea you keep thinking.
Yep. You gotta explore that. Thank you for that. This conversation, I think, has so many different layers and levels of exploring the human experience, the spiritual experience, and then the human experience, and then the racial experience, and the experience based in the construct of sexuality and all of that. And so thank you for this. This has been awesome. And I'm gonna tell you one space we didn't get to that we obviously need to do another conversation about is the business experience, because your work in not just queer business, but in business and helping people to visualize and bring their dreams to life. Like, we need to talk about that, bro. I'm
down.
And soon. So that's a conversation that as grateful as I am for this meeting today, we need to get to that space. And so we got to make that happen real soon.
I'm totally with it.
Good God. This is awesome.
That's great. So look, we're gonna wrap this up. All right. So Asa, thank you so much for sharing space with us this morning. Thank you so much for being open, for being authentically you, unapologetically, for your expression, for your love, for all you do, you guys. He's an amazing business coach. I want to just say this. He helped me publish my book. He helped me get clear on my book, and he does so many profound things. Amazing speaker, international business coach. I mean, his list goes on and on and on. So I do want to say that Asa is more than just his gender, more than just the pronoun. He's a beautiful being. He's a beautiful being. So we're so grateful to share this. I know that this has been something that is not comfortable for a lot of people, but I'm grateful we are having this, because this is something I truly desired. I wanted to learn about. Dr. Damon, you want to tell them about modern manhood, what we got going on?
So we've got a meetup coming up, guys, and this is going to be a dope one. This is going to be, we are planning to do a meetup on the last Monday of every month.
October 25th.
So October 25th, this is coming up, and it's going to be a dope one. Our man of the hour is none other than Glenn Whitaker. We know that, you know, there are spaces for guys to get together and, you know, shoot the shit, or we might be getting together for a game that's playing, or we might get together to go, you know, have a drink. But where are the spaces where we can bring all of this together? Let's talk about the experience, right, of being modern men and the intersections. Again, you know, I love that word, the intersections of where Glenn has been able to find success and happiness and love, but also deal with the struggle and the strife and of entrepreneurial, you know, exploration and owning a business, but being a poet, being an entertainer, being a father. These are spaces that we gotta decide to come to the table and ask some questions and talk about it. And so this is what this meetup looks like. It's we're gonna share this at Mark Fleming's Creative Space. It's $15 for a ticket, but we're also having catering by plates to go. And if you haven't seen us talk about this, what Jay is doing and how he is literally serving the community, this is an event that you don't want to miss.
And he just
limited space, Jay, so get in.
And Jay, I know you listening, because he says if someone orders for me to cater, there should be an expectation of great service. And you know what, Jay? You're absolutely right. Right now, I have an expectation that your food is going to be incredible, because you're an incredible person. What? That's who you are. But if it's not good, it's not going to impact me personally, because I am more excited about you and your presence than you are and who you serve. And you are more than what you do, brother. So I understand the point you're trying to make. And I want to say, I hear you. I truly understand you. But anyway, that's it. Go ahead.
No, that's dope. I'm so glad you saw that and said that, man. But that's our point. So as part of our modern manhood platform, culture, space that we're building, we are inviting you to the table, brothers, literally. So come and hang out with us October 25th. I'm saying us, but I'm not going to be there. I live in Atlanta. I'm kind of salty about it. But yeah, I'm going to put that face back on, because this is something we're excited about doing. Also, I'm going to say this now. If you guys haven't heard about what the masterclass is, it is an experience that Donnell and I have really curated. It's evidence-based. It is an experience that is altogether spiritual, and it's about growth. It's about seeing and knowing your ideal self. It's about learning how we manage our emotional health and our wellness. It's learning how we're showing up to the table and how we're showing up in conversations, and really finding like a small fraction of a 2-hour session to really walk out of this as a better man for yourself, for your family, and for your community. We are doing and scheduling our first live masterclass in Oklahoma City coming early 2022, and it's about to be dope. I'm super excited about what this looks like. Keep your lookout, because I'm sure we're going to also share. We're going to try to do another virtual masterclass. I think that needs to happen. So we're looking forward to a lot of dope projects. Oh, and if you're not in our Man Cave group, you need to be. You need to send us a message or check us out. Go to the website at manhoodmasterclass.com and click on the button that says join the Man Cave. It's going to take you back to the Facebook group. This is the space where we're sharing resources. We're sharing interviews. We're having conversations that we just aren't having personally, because we want to provide a space for us to explore that and learn and grow together. And let's see. There was one more thing. Finally, our health and fitness challenge started earlier this week.
Yes.
So Cody came in live into the Man Cave and did a live workout with us, right? If you haven't done that workout once or twice or even 3 times, I did it twice, I'm gonna try to get another one in, then you are missing out on an opportunity to really take care of yourself. We have to take care of ourselves as people and as men, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This is an opportunity to go in and get a good workout in. Next week, we've got Emmanuel coming up, and he is about to kick our ass. I already know it.
Damn,
He's going to come in live in the Man Cave and take us through a workout. That workout's going to be there all week for us to ask questions, for us to explore, for us to figure out how to make it better for us as individuals, and to talk about his work and his passion and what he's doing. We've got at least six workouts already planned, and this is a space where we want to introduce you guys to broaden your scope on what health and fitness looks like. So we're not just doing push-ups and pull-ups. We're going to be exploring Zumba. I got a dope Zumba instructor who's been doing this for over 12 years. Who's coming in to take us to some Zumba. I've never done Zumba before, and I know a lot of guys who don't, because we're not walking into that space. We're bringing it to you. I'm teaching a Tai Chi class in a few weeks. If you've never experienced the invigoration of Tai Chi, you need to be there.
Go ahead and get in the Man Cave.
Right. Get in the Man Cave and explore this with us, and let's do this. We're doing, I've got these guys of Inner Black Yoga. They're going to come in and do a yoga class for us in a couple of weeks. How are we?
Y'all like Wakanda black people.
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna have a boxing workout come up in a few weeks. This is a space where we want to bring the world to us and explore it in a place where we might be more comfortable. And we want you all to really see that health and wellness is bigger than doing push-ups and taking protein shakes. And those are dope things to do, but that's bigger than what it should look like, especially for Black men.
Yeah.
So let's explore what it looks like, jumping on this health and fitness challenge. We're trying to give away some prizes, but we can't do that if y'all ain't doing nothing.
Right, absolutely.
Say it. I'm excited.
So hey, one thing, I do want to thank everybody that tuned in. Jay, Kellen, I know you was posting. There's Charlisa. I don't want to ruin your name, so please forgive me ahead of time. Is it Alicia?
Yeah.
Alicia, okay, Alicia, thank you for tapping in. I appreciate you all just taking out your time to listen.
Absolutely.
It looks like this gave a lot of value. So thank you all for making space and also contributing to this, because we couldn't do this without you.
Absolutely. This is
it.
I just think y'all dope. Like y'all real dope.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
So share this, like, share it, you guys. I think this is a conversation everyone should hear about and know about. So share it, all right, and like it, and make sure you join the group if you're looking for an amazing group that you can be safe in. You can discuss things that's on your heart, because I believe iron sharpens iron, and I'm passionate. We're all passionate about helping each other win, helping us all win, whatever capacity it looks like. All right.
Absolutely.
So I'm about to jump off. I love y'all. Hey, so go have an amazing day. Continue conquering the world, because I know you're gonna do it. If there's anything we can do, just let us know. Anything we can do for you, let us know.
Same for y'all. I'm about to go get my sea moss right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm about to go get my sea moss too. I'm about to go drop off some orders and get a haircut.